First thing I wanted to say, because I know Todd won't write about it, but Ganser will put it on tape somewhere. I wanted to say thank you to all of the veterans since today's Veterans Day. It's amazing that we would have 30 people in the room. We're all in the room to some extent because of what the veterans have done for our country. And as a program, we appreciate that. Those that are veterans and those that are still currently serving our country. Relative to why you guys are here, this has always been a big day for me throughout my career. I don't mean that in a selfish way, but the way I was brought up in the business, you get what you deserve. And as a coach, as a recruiter, this was always the day that you found out what you deserved. And I think that our staff has done an unbelievable job. Not me, our staff has done an unbelievable job of being great teammates with one another. And to some extent, with each of the two guys that we've signed up until this point, they've all been involved. Maybe not in the weekly call. Maybe it was on the on-campus visit. Maybe it was on an unofficial visit. Maybe it was with camp. But everybody has been involved and has a trustful relationship with all of the people involved. Jamail Jones, they call him Mello. He goes by Mello. That's with a W. That's how he introduced himself to me. He is a great, great, great young man. Was raised the right way as a yes sir, no sir type kid. He's a great student. He transferred this year. He plays for arguably one of the best high school coaches in the country. He's definitely, in my opinion, the best high school coach as it relates to development of kids as players. And Mello's gotten better during his time at Montverde already. We've been down there a few times, and he's gotten a lot better. First time I met him, I thought he was Wesley Matthews. How he talked, how he looked, how he played, makes his team better. Doesn't do anything great, but doesn't do anything bad. Just really, really solid. Knows he has a lot to get better at. Is very humble in anything that he would tell you. And I think he'll be a perfect addition, not only to our team on the floor, but a perfect addition to our team off the floor. Vander Blue, as much notoriety as he has received, and he's worthy of all of it, and some of the fanfare that goes along with all that has transpired with Vander. The thing I like most about him, and the thing that I've communicated to his mom when she was here for the official visit, the reason I wanted Vander to be a part of our program is because of who he is as a person. It's not hard to figure out he's one of the elite level players in the country, but as a person, I think he's just as elite as he is as a player, and he's going to fit in just perfectly, as will Mello, with the returning guys on our team. And I think he solves a lot of problems for us on the floor, but I think Mello does as well. It's just because Mello is not from here that he probably hasn't gotten the notoriety that he deserves. But I think Vander will live up to the hype. I think he'll do a little bit more because of who he is as a person. He's an extremely competitive kid that wants to win the right way. He's not going to take any shortcuts. He's been well coached in high school and on the AAU scene, and I think that he'll have an immediate impact for our program.
Both these guys look like they're flexible, versatile kind of guys that you really favor as a coach. Is that what you're looking at, guys who play multiple positions?
Want to sign as many guys as we can sign that are hard to guard. Want to sign as many guys as we can sign that can pass, dribble, and shoot. I want to sign as many guys as we can sign that can guard multiple positions. And I think Mello and Vander can both do all three of those things. They definitely fit what I would describe in my selfish, I've got all the answer book of what a team should look like. Well, problems in that Mo Acker and David Kubian are probably going to play combined. They'll play more minutes on the perimeter than the combination of any other one or twos on our team if you go by positions. And having one player be able to step in and fulfill what we're going to miss from those two guys immediately, that's the thing that's probably not talked about enough, is how hard it is to sign players that can have an immediate impact at this level, where their bodies are ready, where their minds are ready, where their skills are ready to have an impact right away, and I think Vander can do that.
I feel like you're getting a kid in Vander who is going to be mature beyond his years when he gets here because of everything that he went through with the commitment and then the rest of the
I agree completely. That's why I said what I said in the press release. It's been amazing to me, and it was hard to say prior to his commitment to him without it sounding like recruiting speak. But I've told him nearly every single time that I've talked to him in one form or another, I'm proud of who you are. Proud to say that I know you. I've learned a lot of lessons from him just because he has a lot of wisdom. He's not an old soul. He's a kid. But in how he processes and how he handles people, I think that his wisdom is well beyond his years for sure.
He had told me a while back that you had contacted him early on, he committed to Wisconsin. Hadn't heard from you. He went through that whole process. He decommitted. When was it that you decided you wanted to get back involved in that process?
That's a great story, Ganser, and I can't tell it all today because it'll take too long, and some of you guys have to go back to your real jobs. But I was hired. We had a press conference on April the 8th to name me the head coach, and on April the 9th, I was at Madison Memorial High School at 10 a.m. During my year as an assistant coach at Marquette, I never saw a Wisconsin high school game except for on November the 27th after Thanksgiving at the military school, something John. I went to St. John's Military School, and it took me an hour and a half to get there from Mequon. And I called Coach Crean on the way back, and I said, Coach, if you don't mind, I'd prefer to get on a plane to go recruiting next time. It was snowing, and I was scared to death. I was driving the Hummer that John Bergstrom had given us for that year, and I'm telling you, I was scared out of my mind. And I had never seen Vander play. And so when I was hired, that next day, I went to see Steve Collins, and he said, Buzz, it's nice to meet you. Congratulations. I'd like to introduce you to who I think is the best player in his class in the state. And I introduced myself to Vander, and that following week is when he committed to Wisconsin. And so I had never spoke to him on the phone. None of that. And even once he decommitted, I never called him just because I didn't want to get involved. And as it began to play itself out through his family, through his coaches, that's kind of how it all started. But we'll turn in all of our phone records at the end of this month. I'm not sure how many times I've ever even called Vander on his phone because the story didn't play out like it normally plays out when you're recruiting kids. But that's why it's so unique. And I think that's part of the relationship that our staff has built with him is, it started with just him, and then his family was involved, and then his coaches were involved, and it was all built the right way.
When he gets here, the relationship with Gerard is pretty well chronicled. How much do you think that's going to help both players?
I think it'll help greatly. It's almost like when we signed Use, it made Chris O'Toole a much better player just because he saw somebody that looked like him, and he thought maybe he was going to play, Use would play in front of him. And I think there's some parallels in that as there will be with Vander and with Jamail. Those guys are brothers, literally. I mean, they talk every day, all day. They, all the text and the whatever you do on the Facebook and all of those things, they're extremely close. They grew up together. They've played on the same teams together in the summer or in high school. I think there'll be great value in it for sure.